All right. Hello? How's this working? Hello? Hello? Mic check. Can anybody hear me? Excellent. Good to hear. Hello, everyone. Wow, there's actually people here. That's exciting. Um, Yay. Oh, it looks like we're talking about force weapons already. That is excellent because I have not yet decided what weapons I'm going to give all these Terminators on here. So you guys know me decide that. Oh, man. And I know before anybody starts talking about it, I've read a lot on the internet about how Terminators maybe aren't the best in the new codex, but that has never stopped me in the past. So I'm just going to keep on keeping on with Terminators. Here's that nice moment, ripping that open. Mr. Blackman asks if I have a Dremel and magnets. Choose all of them. I have magnets, but I do not have a Dremel. Instead, I have one of these guys, little pin vise, which they're solid. I like them a lot, but that's a lot of work, putting a lot of tiny magnets into a lot of tiny weapons, and usually I do not want to do all of that. Ooh, my drink of choice. Currently, I'm having some of Ula's bourbon. It's the last that I have, and I am always hesitant to finish off a bottle, but gonna do it. All right. I do love this box. I've bought probably 7 of these in my life, and it's exciting every single time I open it. Look at the cool art on the back, all the different weapon options. 4 swords, 1 staff, you say, Jason T? How is that stratagem? I haven't seen it in play in any of the like battle reports that I've watched so far. I haven't actually seen people utilize it. Does it work? I'll wait for you guys to talk about that because, man, I don't know. That's a... How many of each weapon do I have already? Oh, boy. Oh. Let's see. Here is my... Gives you a 5-up invuln versus shooting, James Smith says. Well, that's not great if it gives me a 5-up invuln versus shooting because they already have a 5-up invuln versus shooting. Anyway, you ask what weapon options I have. Here are my extra Terminator sprues with everything that I've never put onto Terminators before. So I have a lot. I can pretty much put any weapons I need onto. Oh, it's a 4-up on Terminis. Oh, okay. So interesting. Is it different for strikes and Terminators then, or is it a 4-up invuln for both of them? Ah, thank you, John Dunphy, for that quick clarification. Interesting. Huh. Well, it might be worth it having 1 stave in there in that case. You never know when to stop some stray las cannon shots. I don't even know why I'm looking at the rulebook. I have built this so many times. +1 to invuln for the unit. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, I have to find my... I don't know if a quick side. I don't know if anybody has really ever used this before, but I started using it recently. Tamiya's extra thin cement, as opposed to these kinds of crappy model store glues. Love them. Caesar Fortson asks, what do you feel about the state of Paladins? I really have to, that's a complicated question because I love Paladins. I've used them to great effect over the years. They did get a weapon skill of 2-up, which is really, really cool. Big fan of that. I don't know. Not having the Brotherhoods, while thematically and flavor-wise makes a ton of sense for the Paladins, it's tough not getting any of the benefits that they're getting. But they do have that cool psychic flexibility, from what I understand. And again, if I'm getting anything wrong as far as like my interpretations of the rules or the new codex, let me know, because I'm only going off of what people have told me on what people have told me through YouTube reviews and things like that. I unfortunately did not get an advanced copy of the Grey Knights Codex. Emailed GW about 4 times over the last few months. Was hoping they'd get back to me, but they're busy, I guess. They got stuff going on. I understand. But yeah, Paladins. They're good. I think they're going to be really good. I think being able to choose different powers. I'm not really sure which discipline they get to choose from. I think it might be both, or it might just be the Sanctic discipline. But not being able to choose, or being able to choose what discipline they get to, being able to choose the powers they get is going to give them some extreme flexibility, which I think will be very useful. So you're losing Brotherhood that huge of a deal since there isn't a passive buff. That's a really good point. I think that some of the stratagems and some of the special powers that they get are going to be really, really useful, but there isn't a passive buff there. Although if you think about it, the powers are a passive buff since everybody gets it and they can cast it. Let's see. So here's the first thing I do whenever I get this kit. I open it up. I find these legs in particular, the ones I just grabbed. I am convinced that these are the Justicar's legs, or if you're building the Paladins, the Paragon's legs, because he's got, I don't know if you can see on there, but there's little skulls on the just under the like runes, I guess you'd call them, on the little like leg parts right there, little skulls. And from what I understand, the sergeants of Space Marine squads always have the skulls on their foreheads. So I imagine this is the legs of the Justicar. So I always start with the Justicar. And then I'm going to grab the Justicar's body plate, which is going to be not this one. It is going to be, oh no, where is it? No. Where? Did that change? I can't change. There it is. Okay. So the Justicar also has the back that has most of the if you notice, most of the backs of the Terminator like body armor, they have 5 of the little psychic pins on the back. One of them has 7, and I'm convinced that the difference there means he's the Justicar. So I'm going to start with that. Boop. Kieran Jenkin asks, how do you feel about losing +1 to cast? I feel sad about it. But that's fine. I mean, the Aegis gives us some more psychic protection, which is really cool, but I definitely feel like I'm going to miss that a lot. My buddy was trying to tell me, but my psychic powers look like they're not that expensive, but still it's going to make it so that my powers are going to be easier to deny. Smite's going to be harder, but we do have full smite now, so that's like a whole thing. Kieran Jenkins also says Thousand Suns have it instead. It wouldn't be so bad if the rule wasn't named the same for the Thousand Suns. It's called Brotherhood of Psychers for the Thousand Suns, and that hurts, knowing that they got our rule and then also got the name for the rule, straight stealing it. But that's all right. I'm sure the book's going to have a ton to be able to make up for that. John Dunphy says, don't put the head on until you have it painted and the area behind it, so it's annoying. It's a good idea, but I'm very impatient. And let's see. John Elridge asks if I'm building Terminators or Paladins. I'm going to build Terminators. I have a squad of 10 Paladins already. They all have halberds with 2 staves in there. And genuinely, I can't see myself needing more Paladins than 10. It's almost, I think it's just shy of 500 points now. It was 500 points with the old book. And that was that was a lot of points. I can't imagine myself wanting to run more Paladins. So I'm going to build more Terminators just to have more troop options and someday fill a board with just Terminators. One last blade. Can multiple units cast Smite now, or is it still just one? So core rules say that Smite can be cast any number of times you wish, but it costs 1 more to cast for each casting beyond the first. Caesar Fortson asks, have you ever considered trying a hangout day of sorts on the Grey Knights server? The voice channels seem to never be used, and it would be nice to spice things up. That's a good idea. I've never considered that. That's something I've never thought about. As I mentioned, this is like my first time streaming. This guy's almost good as far as his mold lines go. Legs. Got 2 boxes of Terminators coming. Should I make 1 Paladin, 1 Terminator, or go full double one? Honestly... I like having multiple small units of Terminators. If a Terminator squad gets stuck somewhere, then he's just they're just there, especially now that they can't. Historically, I put gate on all of my Terminator squads, and now that my Terminator squads can't take gate, it's going to be I imagine they're going to get stuck in some back lines sometimes and just use their 5-inch move and not really get anywhere. All right, well, let's start with it. I'll clean that up a little bit. So yeah, start with the Justicar because at least for me, Ryan Pierce says Terminators can use the 2 CP teleporter shunt. Is that true? I thought that was just specifically for the Interceptors and the Dread Knights when they get the teleporters on their backs. Huge if true. Damn. All right. Sounds like that's the case. I'll trust you guys. All right. We've got this for him. Yeah, let's start with gluing that. Grab my cement. He lies. Caesar Force said, ooh, see, this is exactly why I haven't, I have a couple of friends who have been telling me I need to make quickly, strike while the iron is hot. Stay at the table. You need to make a reaction video to all of the Grey Knights Codex reviews. And I'm like, I don't have the Codex though. And they're like, well, just use somebody else's video and react to that. And it's like, I don't have the book and I don't have all the information. So all I have is hearsay from what other folks say. So I can't make an informed opinion on it until I actually have the thing in my hands, which they said was a mistake. They said I need to capitalize on doing that. But genuinely, unless I'm actually physically looking at it and seeing how it all works together and I've played a game or two, I can't make an opinion on the book yet. Have you heard about the new godlike reliable charge we have on Deep Strike? What are you talking about? You're talking about Tide of Celerity? Because that I was not impressed by. Okay. Exactly, Fearsome Warrior. Need to take it all in at once. Okay, so now is the decision I have to make. As I'm going into pose, because anything beyond just this little bit here, I'm going to have to start making the posed. What am I doing weapons-wise? I'm really intrigued by falchions just because I want to paint falchions. I think that'd be really cool. But falchions I don't think are worth it right now. What do you guys think? Falchions worth it or no? I'm just thinking, oh, well, in the meantime, let's get rid of all these purity seals off here. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Here's my beautiful wife with dinner. Thank you so much. Oh, delicious. Look at that. Thank you.
Sorry I didn't give it to you before your feed started.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Hi, friends.
Hello, the internet, she says.
Hello, the internet. Goodbye, the internet.
All right, bye, babe. Thank you. I'm very excited to eat that. No desire to magnetize the weapons, Ape of Justice says. Genuinely, no. It's just not my jam. It's such a hassle. They always fall off, and then you have to paint all these little weapons and then find a place like a little Tupperware or something to store all these weapons, and it's it's just not worth it to me. I'd rather paint up multiple Terminators and actually have them like with different weapon options. Let's see. +1 attack with the tide. You can really put out a lot of mortal wounds. That's a good point. Getting extra attacks gives them higher chance of more mortal wounds on melee strikes. Falchions on strike squads with mortal wounds on 6. You know what? So current Terminator squad, I have swords. I have one squad with swords. I have one squad with halberds, and then I have some older squads that I'm trying to like switch out because they're older and their paint jobs are less good. Maybe I should get some guys with falchions. Maybe that's the way to go. Deliberation. We do have normal smite now, Kieran Jenkins. Let's see. There we go. There's Caesar Fortson coming with the math. Don't trust math, he says. Yeah. You know what are always cool? What are always cool and reliable? Swords. Everybody loves swords. Shall we? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do swords. No, because falchions are. This is the tough part always. And yes, I know I could solve this with magnets, but then the aforementioned lots of extra work step. Halberds, Jason T says in all caps. Here, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make a poll. That's a thing I can do. Weapon option. Options. Sword. Halberd. All right. I'll continue clipping up purity seals. We'll see what you guys think. All hammers, Cody Miller says. How do I feel about the combat control box? I'm assuming you mean the combat patrol box. If the spoilers we saw, the hint we saw is accurate, that's pretty cool, I guess. There's no like unique, there's no like non-unique Grey Knights character currently. So, and all the combat patrol boxes need an HQ. So it'd be very difficult for them to include anything that isn't a Dread Knight and call it a Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight. Yes, all hammers. Ooh, I'm kind of liking the all hammers idea now that you said it aloud. It'd be ridiculously silly. Although it looks like halberds are winning. Halberds are overwhelmingly winning. All right. Wow. Well, let's see. We'll think about it for a minute while I continue to clip these purity seals, because the hilarity of all hammers seems interesting. Although the hammers, are they even, I don't know, -2 AP. Sure, the 8 strength is nice, but -1 to hitting, and the damage is only 50% better than the other weapons now. Well, let's play. Just getting into Grey Knights with the Mega Bundle pre-order. Very excited. Any tips for a new GK player? Here is my biggest tip for a new Grey Knights player. Buy what you think is cool, build what you think is cool, paint what you think is cool. Meta's going to shift a lot, and people are going to tell you that strike squads are the best. Then people are going to say Terminators are the best. Then people are going to say all the Grey Knights troops are garbage. Things are going to move around quickly. Buy models that you think are cool, build them, paint them, love them, and make them your own. Ignore the poll, do hammer, brothers. Do all hammers. It'll be funny, everyone says. All right, so the current winner is halberds easily. So we're going to end that poll, and we're going to make a new poll, which is called hammers versus halberds. No, Travis, you can take as many hammers as you want. It's just 10 points per. It's 10 points per hammer. Hammers. Now let's see if reason and rationality win out over halberds. All right, here you go, guys. Let's see it. I'll take a moment for dinner. Look at this. My lovely wife made a beautiful little bread salad. A bread salad? What would you call this? Panzanella, I think is what she said. All right, it's actually much closer than I thought. Much closer than I thought. I'll clip out my encranches, which is what these are called, by the way. Little shoulder tilt shields. If you look at old like medieval armor, maybe that's the right word, maybe it's not. The only name I could find for these little shields that sit on the shoulder right there is an encranche, which I will type out here. Encranche. So that may be correct. It may not be correct. Looks like hammers are winning. Halberds rule of cool, Patrick Swan says. So Patrick Swan is convinced that the halberds are cooler than the hammers, which feels... man, if I put hammers on them, the whole squad's going to be 50 points more than... Hey, you know what? That's fine, though. Sometimes it's nice to just have a big, hefty squad. Oh, there's my dog. My wife left him in the room accidentally. Get out of here, buddy. Go get her.
You can't make up his mind.
You know what? Fizzlenuke has an excellent point. It is called Warhammer, not War Halberd. All right, we're going to do it. You know what? We're going to do it. We're going to do all hammers. That has been decided. All hammers on this Terminator squad. This is going to be the single best unit in the entire game. Everyone's going to be incredibly impressed with this squad. No, Patrick Swan. All right, so there's one hammer in this box. Let's get that boy out. We have to find all our others. The hand, I don't know if you guys can see that. The hand on the hammer bit right there. It's always, if you snip that one in the middle first, it'll bend the whole thing that way. So you got to snip the edges first, and that's always irritating. There we go. One hammer. It's going to be a brutal split. You know what? Good point. This is going to be 16 Thunder Hammer strikes coming out whenever they're in melee, which is going to be rad. Okay, let's make sure we have 5 Nemesis Demon Hammers first. We're gonna go through the whole thing, because what if curses of curses we don't? Not on these guys. There's another one. We have 2 so far. So many falchions. I have so many extra Terminator falchions on all of these sprues. What am I to do with them? One last blade. What do you think of the relic weapons? Do you think any of them will be taken over the utility buff relics? You know what? I'm not sure. I haven't seen them too much. I think I've seen the Soul Glaive spoiled, and that's it. Which it looks like the Soul Glaive is +2 strength, -3 AP, and I think it was still 2 damage. It might have been 3. But I think it was 2. But I mean, that's good, and it's reroll hits and wounds, so that's going to go on to my my brother captain Akoziel, who has the Dark Angels halberd to model off that. So that'll still look rad. Okay, so that's one. Okay, we have 2 hammers total. We need to find 3 more. Haha! There we have one. One less blade. Oh, I just remembered. How did you like the image of the Exactors info I sent a few days ago? Oh, that was you. Yeah. Thank you for sending me that. I really appreciate it. I actually really like most of the Exactors stuff. Because for those who don't know, the Seventh Brotherhood, I've called my guys the Seventh Brotherhood the Exactors for the longest time, because the Seventh Brotherhood has ties to the Inquisition, and I have my Inquisitor, and I really like to have all of my like forces tied together, the Exorcists, my Inquisitor, my Demos Admech, and then eventually I want to make like a guard force of like Imperial Stormtroopers or something at some point. So I like to have them all tied together. So by being the 7th Brotherhood, I have closer ties to the Inquisition. It's kind of fun. But where was I going with that? The Exactors rules. I don't hate them. I think they're good. I think that the psychic power is really interesting. It'll make it so that my Terminators can't be like tar-pitted, which is going to be awesome. So the 4-up, there's no cap on how many mortal wounds you can do to a unit. It's just every single 4-up you get is a mortal wound. But the Warlord trait sucks for the Exactors. +1 leadership and Grey Knights in 6 inches. Auto pass morale checks. That's bad. That is a bad Warlord trait. But that's fine. You can choose other Warlord traits. You don't need to choose that one. Captain Fordo says, one last blade, are you getting Hexfire? I plan to. We'll find out if my FLGS actually gets it in stock. They've had a lot of trouble with Games Workshop orders in the last year or so because of COVID and everything. Oh, the 4th hammer, here it is. Oh yeah, Jason T, I did check out the cheat sheet. I didn't get a chance to look through it, but I appreciate you doing that work. Like that's awesome, just having all that reference material. You need the Exorcist White Dwarf cards, Brian Fnord says. Oh, somebody gave them to me the other day, actually. My buddy John gave them to me. He bought the White Dwarf, realized he wasn't going to use them, and he gave them to me. It was very cool, which is good because I definitely wasn't going to buy a White Dwarf. There it is. 5th hammer. We can do it, lads. We can do it all, Hammer Squad. Victory. Snip, snip. There we go. God, there we go. Perfect. All right. All hammers coming in. Look at that. A thing of beauty. 5 Nemesis Demon hammers. Toss. Quick little bite to eat. The Banhammer Squad. Well, that's actually a good point that Prima Facie brings up. Do warding staves on characters not do anything now? Okay, so let's see. You're getting, we're doing this. I guess a warding stave would still do something on like a librarian or something with a 5-up invuln, right? Use the falchions for rad terrain. They use them in some swords and greater demon bits to make corpses that were stabbed to death. And that's so cool. I'd love that idea. All right. So next, I'm going to grab the Justicar's shoulder pads. This guy right here. Let's see if anybody can see it. It's not zooming in too much. But this guy right here, the one shoulder pad with like the scroll work on it, I reserve that one like entirely for characters. I don't use that on my squads. So instead, he's going to have the first one here. How many hammers come in the Terminator box? Just one! Oh man, this is going to be a pricey squad. What's the current... They did change the hammer stats from 8th. It's just -2 AP as opposed to -3 AP now. Does anybody know the current cost of Terminators off the top of your heads? $42 points per model, $60. 42 points, that's right. Oh, excuse me. 42 points per model, so 52 points with the hammers. So we're coming out to 210 points. Oh boy, no, yes, 210 points for this squad. Hell yeah, these guys are gonna crush face, hopefully. Radar rat. Really? You're gonna do a hammer squad as well? All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. Okay, I gotta get his hands. What is he gonna look like? Let's grab the hammer hand first. Hammer hand. There it is. 260 with hammers. Does that math work out the same? Does that math work out? 260? That doesn't sound right. What do you think of the purity seals? I kind of think there's enough build onto the models to the ones you stick on because too busy. That's definitely a fair point. I like my models looking busy. I like having a lot of stuff going on in my models. I like to fill up if I see some like large, pure like sections of armor that have no like runes or scroll work or anything on them. I like to throw a purity seal on. I like to throw purity seals on weapons and stuff as well. It just adds some flavor to them. It makes them unique. Anything to make my individual guys look different from everybody else's guys. 260 is right. 52 times 5. Yep, you're absolutely right. I did my math bad. All right, we're going to start here. Let's get the cement out. This stuff smells potent. What's nice is this stuff's going to last a while because you barely have to apply any of it. There we go. Okay, you can sit there, hang out for a second, let that dry. Get you a little bit of an angle on there so you have a kind of cool stance. He's only kind of looking that way a little bit. Where I come from, models get purity seals when they do something to earn them. That's awesome. I played a Blackstone Fortress campaign once with some friends, and I I played Thaddeus, the priest, and my friend played the old Man of Iron, the robot that was like pretending to be an Imperial robot, but was really secretly like a surviving Man of Iron. And every time he would do something heroic in the game, like kill some beastmen or like solve a puzzle or something, I would have Thaddeus the Purifier become incredibly proud of him and exalt the robot to say he is a true servant of the Emperor. And I'd run up out of my basement and go pick out a purity seal from my collection, paint it real quick, and then bring it downstairs, and we'd glue it onto the robot. So every time he did something red, the priest would come up and put a purity seal onto him. It was fun. Okay. Quick question. What sword did you use for Grandmaster Semendus? I'm trying to think of a good sword for Grandmaster Alarain. That's a cool name. It was one of the swords from the Custodes box. I just took the whole like Custodes sword, snipped it here, and then flipped the hand around, and then glued the pommel onto the other side so it looked like he was holding it. Because I wanted him to hold it, but realized Terminators are much smaller than Custodian Guard, and so he couldn't actually like wield it. So he's just kind of holding in sort of a stance. All right, we need his other arm. Yeah, we're gonna grab this one. I love the Demon Hammers because they do flat 3 damage, and I think it's good for killing Marines. I also play Grey Knight. Oh, good for you. They are good for killing Marines, although most of our weapons are good for killing Marines. All of these, ooh, I just realized that a Thunder Hammer straight kills a Blade Guard, and now I love them. Okay, great. I'm happy for the all hammer team. Where did you get 5 Nemesis hammers? Where did I get 5 Nemesis hammers? From at least 5 Terminator boxes. I have so many extra sprues. Okay. Where were we? Gluing this on. Okay, so we're going to first glue the hammer to the arm, because then we'll articulate it around the body. But first, we're going to get all the mold lines off of the hammer. And a little, what do you call the artifact that is left on the piece from the sprue? Not a mold line, but a little piece on there. Is there a specific name for it? Like a knob or a catch, something? Just a little extra bit of plastic that's left on there. Yeah, my old nemesis, Blade Guard. Yeah, God, I hate them so much. They're, if you guys will forgive me a momentary rant about Flash, that's the word for it, thank you. If you guys forgive me a momentary rant about Blade Guard, when they released them, I was like, oh, hey, cool. Let's see. We have big dudes with swords. Okay, so they're going to be power swords, so AP3, 1 damage. Oh, they're master crafted. Okay, sure, 2 damage. Oh, they have storm shields. Okay, so they got that invuln. Oh, they got 3 attacks. Well, I guess they're like veterans, so sure, that makes sense. Oh, they got 3 wounds? Why did they have 3 wounds? And I still can't, for the life of me, figure out like what reason there is for Blade Guard having 3 wounds. No other veterans, aside from Terminators, have 3 wounds. They're just in like normal Tacticus, like interceptor armor. Tacitus? Tacticus. And it's upsetting. I don't know why they have so many wounds. They shouldn't. They should have 2. There's no reason for them to have 3. Maybe if they had Gravis. They don't have T5, and they aren't in Gravis armor. You'd think they are because of their fucking profile, but they aren't in Gravis armor. They should be. Okay, we're going to let that dry. Boom. Oh, I'm actually really excited about Hammer Squad. Okay, and Stormbolters. Turns out that wounds sell plastic. You know what? Cannot argue against that. Games Workshop is a model company, and if they want to move plastic, they're going to make their models good. Okay, there we go. Freed the Stormbolter from its sprue. Let's see, one less blade. Now that I think of it, Drachnian or Mephiston's sword might make a really good blade of the Forthorn. Ooh, interesting. Mephiston's sword would be cool, although it has that weird, like, flangey on it that makes me not understand how it can cut. Drachnian would be interesting. That'd be interesting. It'd be kind of a demon weapon. Oh, hey, has anybody seen Crow's stats yet? I'm curious about his sword. There we go. You're aware that people are starting to call Strike Squad a Nemesis Guard now. Yeah, because of their 3 attacks. Totally. I get it. Really? So Crow has a mastercrafted power sword, essentially? Oh, that's kind of... I guess that makes him better, but it also means he's utilizing the demon's power, which is kind of disappointing. As bad as it was before, I really liked that the flavor of him not accessing his, like him not giving into the demon's power and using its fury to damage things. He's just using it as a stick to bash people over the head. +1, -3, 3 damage. Wait, +1, -3, 3d3. 3, Jason T, do you mean he does 3 damage and does D3 mortal wounds on a roll of 6? Okay, that makes sense. It's drilling barrels now. Always got to drill your barrels. Otherwise, everyone will look at your model, no matter how beautifully it's painted, and say, drill your barrels. You can have the best like non-metallic metal paint job in the world, and nobody will care if you don't have 2 holes in the front of your Stormbolter. So it's very important to the hobbying community for some reason. Okay, I'm going to throw this onto his arm after I've done this. Also, thanks, folks, for being here. This is my first time I have ever streamed anything, and I downloaded Streamlab this afternoon and was immediately intimidated by how complicated it was. So I think on the next stream, I'll try to have like music or multiple cameras or something. But for this one, I was just proud of myself for getting YouTube to cooperate. I am not a technologically smart person. There we go. There's that sitting there. And we're going to grab a hand for him. What size bit to drill them? Oh, boy. This size? I don't know how to describe the size of this. It is just thinner than the haft of a Nemesis Demon Hammer. Wish I knew what size that was, but I've had this thing for like 6 years, and I do not remember what it was. Where's the hands? There we are. Look at the chaplains. I am so tore. How are our chaplains? How are they turning out? Ooh, I forgot I had whiskey. Lovely. It's 3 a.m. in Wales? Oh, man. Kieran Jenkins, thank you for joining us. That's lovely. Okay. Oh, that's right. John Drago just mentioned this. The tide of convergence is changing. I forgot about that. Are people going to miss the tide of convergence we had before? All those extra buffs to our psi weapons? There we go. Hold, please. Chaplains, not as good as SP chaplains, Space Marine chaplains, and I wish Grey Knight champions were elites. They really shouldn't still be HQs. That is weird that our Brotherhood champions are their HQs. I thought they'd change that. Chaplains seem to need to be built around to be particularly useful. Okay, so no real change there. I never really found a use for my chaplain post Psychic Awakening. He seemed really cool, and I loved having those extra abilities, but I just couldn't figure out what I wanted him to do, if that makes sense. Couldn't figure out exactly where he needed to be and who to help. I misread based Dorothy's message. They said the new Grey Knights Codex seems less gimmicky while still full of tricks. I thought it said the new Grey Knights Codex seems less gimmicky while still fucks. And I was like, excellent, go Grey Knights. How many Dread Knights is too many? I think the max you can have is 3, so probably 4. There we go. Hold on to that. Okay, this is going to be the dumbest and coolest squad, and I'm very excited. We're going to set these here while we build our next body real quick. Need your back, need your front. No, we must go further. 3 regulars plus 1 Grandmaster, so you can have them. Isn't that crazy to think about that, like, 2 weeks ago, a week ago even, everyone was talking about how Dread Knights are the worst unit. They're terrible. Even I was, like, saying on my videos, like, talking about how Dread Knights just, they need something, and they're just terrible, and they just collapse like paper houses. And now, everybody's like, oh, damn, Dread Knights? I love Dread Knights. Let's get 1,000 Dread Knights. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy Dread Knights are good. It's just funny to watch the internet's whole opinion shift. There we go. I'm not surprised the GMDK doesn't have core. HQs and characters in particular look like they have not been getting core in any of the books. What am I eating? Austin Blanchett asks. My wife made me an Italian salad with bread in it that I forget what it's called. It's delicious. It's very, very good. It helps me hit my macros today. Yay! Jason T, you think we're going to be more broken than AdMech? Really? I would be very curious to hear you expand on that. Because I don't believe we are. The ingredients John Drago demands. It looks like my dinner consists of peppers, spinach, veggie sausage, bread, onions, and broccolini. Prima Fashi says, Dread Knight's not so hot. Oh, Dreadnoughts. You corrected yourself, I see. What do I think of the preservers, Toaster Lord asks. I'm actually not familiar with the Preserver's trait insofar as it is in the new Codex. But if you inform me, I'd be happy to give you an opinion on it. Again, I only looked at the exactors so far because that's me. Cutting all the flash off. There we go. Ooh, Sequitur swords would look good on Grey Knight Terminators. The issue there is then you have to buy a box of Sequiturs, and then what do you do with the rest of the Sequiturs? Where's the other arms? Ah, nope. Ah. What's getting 40 attacks? Let's see. Oh, yes. Think about it. 10 troops, 3 attacks each, +1 for the spell, each having full rules on. Oh, there's a lot of math going on there. A lot of math going on there. Preserver strat is a buff to Dreadnoughts. Their power is a buff for 6. Feel no pain, turn into a 5. Feel no pain if Pathfinder. Oh, I did read that one. Yes. I think that's pretty good. Honestly, I am debating about playing with different brotherhoods. I know I told everybody that I would stick with the exactors no matter what, but there's so many juicy new toys in the Codex that I kind of want to try out the other ones. I'm certain that the exactors will be the ones that I play, like at tournaments and stuff, just because they're my boys. But it is exciting to think about playing different flavors of Grey Knights. Beefy Bill says, "Hey, that's kind. Hello, Beefy Bill." And, I've seen a couple people do the conversions of taking what are they called? Stormcast Eternals and putting Grey Knight's heads on them. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of them. The edges and the curved parts of the armor just don't look very 40K to me. But I mean, that's my like preference for what 40K looks like. And to me, they just don't quite look like it. Can different attachments come from different brotherhoods? I believe so, yes. How's that squeaking? That sounds nice, isn't it? Fortunately, it's a very short thing. But strikes on Stormguard legs. I agree. It's weird. Oh, there's my dog again. This is something, I don't know if anybody's ever heard my dog barking in my my battle reports, but the dog, he's very anxious, and so barking is just a part of owning a herding dog. I'm just going to do that. One last blade. Speaking of Stormcast, I'm using Celestant Prime and bashing him with a Paladin Abaddon to make a Grandmaster Ascended instead of a Dread Knight. Kind of like Super Saiyan Grandmaster. That's fun. I like that. That's really cool, actually. So the Celestant Prime's the one with the spiky wings, right? Yeah. I think I bought one of those once, and I wanted to turn him into like the Sanguinor or something, but I didn't play Blood Angels, so I didn't pursue that. I didn't pursue that avenue much further. Jason T asks when my next battle report is. This next weekend. I planned on getting one today, but I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, I started filming yesterday my game of Tau versus Astra Militarum, and I just couldn't not keep thinking about all the Grey Knights previews and everything that were going on, and I was like, I'm just gonna play my Tau, and I'm just gonna distract myself and not think about the fact that everybody else is looking at all the Grey Knight stuff. But honestly, filming was very, very, very tricky. Not thinking about that and like trying to distract myself. It just ended up taking a lot longer, and so we just played some 40K. We just played some 40K without having to worry about filming it, and it was actually really nice. It's been a long minute since I played a game without filming it. So this next weekend, my brother and I are going to film one with his Thousand Suns versus my Grey Knights. It's going to be great. 2,000 point match. Both of us just going balls to the walls crazy with our psychic powers. And the following weekend, we're going to start filming the Crusade campaign from the Hexfire box, which is going to be really cool. We're just going to start. We're going to do a small little episodic series because they're only like 500 point armies in the Hexfire box, and so we're just going to film all of those and start releasing like a little series of them. The Crusade campaign from that box. It'll be really fun. One less blade. He's the big super character who uses Sigmar's hammer. Oh, yeah. Please send me that. I'm very curious about that. Yay! Ryan Mihan is acknowledging my Instagram updates from the game yesterday. It was fun. It felt like it was a more casual way of engaging with it. Nothing permanent, unfortunately, which is why we use which is why we film the games, right? We like having the for posterity aspect of it. Ooh, all hammer squad. This is going to be ridiculous. Oh, there's a motorcycle outside. Okay. Let's see. One less blade. Considering that they have tilting shields and iconography on their armor, would you consider converting assault intercessors into strike marines? Well, it's funny you should say that. Bought a Dominus a while back. And I have a bunch of assault intercessors that I never put backpacks and the heads on because in part of my mind I want to turn them into exorcists and put like my like strike squad heads onto them to turn them into cool exorcists like I usually do. But I don't know what to do with them. Maybe it would be cool to just rip off their arms and turn them into strikes with that. That might be not a bad idea. There it is. Oh, Monodork, you haven't played 40K before. Welcome to an incredibly complicated, expensive hobby that is immensely rewarding. This guy's going to have a weird pose. That is not the arm we want on there, in fact, because of that pose. Let's get this one instead. But for real, where are all the shields? No one but Drago wants a shield. Yeah, it's... I had a dream once that the Grey Knight Terminator datasheet was updated just to say that we can take storm shields. We can substitute our storm bolters for storm shields, and I would do it in a minute. I would... Well, not for all the squads. For some squads, I would replace it in a minute. I would... like being able to just have an innate 4-up invuln and the +1 to armor save on my Terminator squads would be that'd be choice. In fact, we can't do that, and we're still like more expensive than Space Marines Terminators. Yeah, it's a little upsetting, but it's also whatever. It is what it is, and we have to work with it, right? Oh, I did see that Drago still has a 3-up. That's crazy. That's awesome. It makes him one of the few models in the game, I think, that still has a 3-up. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's becoming much more rare now that Storm Shields don't offer 3-up invuln. Have you considered kit bashing Primaris Terminators? I haven't. That's an interesting idea. Like using the Gravis bodies. I don't like the shape of the Gravis armor. But maybe using traditional Primaris. That'd be kind of cool. Who knows? Maybe. I was thinking about kit bashing these guys with the Cataphracti legs again, but I didn't have any Cataphracti legs, and I didn't want to buy a whole other Cataphracti kit. And I can just deal with the classic Grey Knight's legs. They're still cool. They're just a little stumpy. This has to be the only game where something known as a paladin can't use a shield. That's witty. Fizzle nuke. That's witty. What do you find are historically and currently Grey Knight's greatest strengths and pitfalls? How drastically have they changed since you started playing them? That's a good question. Historically and currently Grey Knight's greatest pitfalls. For For a time, I would say mortal wounds were our greatest pitfalls. Genuinely, though, long-range shooting is the hardest thing we have to do. Anti-vehicle, long-range shooting. We've never been good with it. This new codex isn't helping us with it. Our sight cannons are still only 24 inches. We have a very difficult time dealing with vehicles at any range closer than like 12 inches. And I think that's always been the case for our guys. You have to find ways to work around it. You got to teleport in. You got to advance up the field so you can get within charge range. But it's honestly just something that's really difficult for us to deal with vehicles. If you bring something like a Land Raider or a Storm Raven to put like multi-meltas and las cannons on, then you yourself are bringing a big vehicle that's just going to get shot down by 1 million Space Marines tanks. Beefy Bill sucks. We lost the +1 to psychic test. We only got +1 to 9, but we also did get a 5 up feel no pain against mortal wounds, which is awesome. It's a fair trade, I think. And something to keep in mind. Oh, how does this go on there? There it is. You get side weapons to 33 inches. That's true. That's true. But we really have to stretch for it. There we go. Firing the Storm Bolt there. That's super cool. Terminators are so cool. And that's like the real thing, honestly, if you think about it. Terminators are just rad. All right. Put you down there for now. Glue dries. Looks like you're ready for your other arm. Batatonio says, "I'm mad that GW updated Drago, but not the other GK models." I think it might mean Crow. They updated Crow. Did not update Drago. Drago is still an old ass model. Don't miss 5th GK with their 48-inch Cyphelman dreads. Oh man. So I didn't play 40K in 8th edition. I still, when I go to tournaments, I get the stink eye from a lot of like old guard players who remember Grey Knights from the harrowing ancient days and just hate me because they got stomped by Grey Knights in 5th edition. All right, let's see. We need one more. We need another body plate. There we go. What do we do to the Terminators to make them as point efficient as strikes now? I like that question, the Rybot. I like that question. What would I do to make Terminators more efficient? I'd allow them to choose their own spells, although that wouldn't... So it's tricky because I want it to stick within the lore as well. And in the lore, a Grey Knight in Terminator armor is the same Marine as a Grey Knight in Strike Squad armor, in power armor, because the Grey Knights have enough Terminator armor for everyone in their chapter to armor up in Terminator armor if they need to. So it'd have to be something that doesn't really change their stat line. It'd have to be another ability that they're granted. Perhaps something like teleport Homer related almost, where you can set something down onto the battlefield and they can teleport to it while it's within, even if it's like close to an enemy or something. But honestly, a points drop would really, really help them. Maybe some more stratagem support, something like that. But really, they're a little too expensive right now for what they do. Hi, One Last Blade. Do you have any recommendations for a Grey Knight's combat patrol? I'm thinking of putting one together, but I'm thinking of using only Terminators and vehicles. Fun. Support. Yeah, get a couple Dread Knights, and if you get two kits of Terminators, then you can build one to a squad of Terminators, and you can build the other into a couple characters, and maybe a squad of 3 Paladins or something like that. Be a nice way to flesh it out. But I think 2 Terminator boxes is the way to go. Any less than that, you get only one, you're only going to be able to... Most of our characters, they are in Terminator armor, so you're going to need some extra Terminator kits anyway in order to make sure that you can maximize the number of characters you can build. In fact, I would suggest getting a box entirely dedicated to just making characters. I, for one, I'm just glad that our smite is no longer 12-inch and 1 damage. Man, preach. It's going to be really cool having my Terminators do a full smite. We suffered that for too long. You got your arm. GK get the good apothecary rules now. We don't get the chief apothecary strat, I don't think. Or ability, I don't think. One last blade. Which characters do you build from non-GK kits? I'm going to assume you mean non-Terminator kits. The Brotherhood Champion, really, that's it. I think it's just him. Everybody else is built from Terminators. I don't have any, Beefy Bill, unfortunately, I don't have any thoughts on Grey Knight's Chaplains because I have not seen their litanies yet, but I will in a week when I get the Codex. And this guy's hammer arm. Where are the hammers? There they are. I'm going to glue that one on first, actually, and then I'll go back to that. Yeah, this makes sense. One last blade. Are you vegan? How is the training going? I am not vegan. I am an ovo-lacto pescatarian, so I eat a lot of eggs, a lot of fish, and a lot of milk. The training is going well. I am seeing my weight increase at a rate that I am happy with, not too quick, not too slow, and I am visibly gaining muscle, and I'm very happy about it. But yeah, going to be bulking for another 2 months, and then I'll be starting a pretty strict cutting plan after that. Thank you for asking about my fitness. I appreciate that. And you've got this. And we're ready to put your shoulder pads on, I think. Just a car. Derek, Eli, Singer says, I mean, you use GK Tourniquet for chaplains and librarians? Yes, I do. I've seen the cool, store special chaplain. I think he looks rad. But if I'm honest, I see everybody using that store special chaplain for their Granite chaplains, and a big appeal of this hobby is making my guys look like special, like unique, and looking like my guys. And so if I have a chaplain that looks like the other guy at the club's Grey Knight's chaplain, I'm not going to be super happy with that. I want my guys to look unique. So I don't know if you've seen him, my chaplain with the candelabra on his back, and he's got the Reaver helmet. He looks pretty rad. I think he looks pretty rad. I'm a big fan of him. One last blade. If you'd like to see an amazing melee litany, I sent you a very quick TLDR in Discord if you want to know. Okay, excellent. I'll check that out in a minute. I'm going to finish my dinner first before I jump in to looking at the internet. Toaster Lord says, one last blade. Do you powerlift? What are your big three if you do? I don't powerlift. All of my lifting is for aesthetic purposes. Lifting, I do pretty good. My squats are pretty difficult because I'm a tall guy. I'm sure you guys have seen my video. I'm 6'5", and so squats are a whole separate thing for me. But I don't really go for high numbers as far as my lifts. I lift for aesthetic purposes, and it goes great. Aversion just says, so excited for a new codex. Me too. I'm really jazzed. Just a couple more days, and then we can all pick it up. All right, you are looking good. Ready for your hammer. Yeah. Are you disappointed that Terminators aren't as theoretically effective as strikes now? Most of the army is Terminators because they look so rad. Agreed. Most of my army is also Terminators because they look so rad. I don't know if I'm disappointed that Terminators are a little less efficient than strikes. If I'm going to be honest, I have never built my lists to win. I build lists based off of stuff that I think is cool, and I do the very best that I can with the models that I've brought to the field and try to make them look really rad and try to make them do their best and leverage their strengths and avoid their weaknesses as much as possible. And I'm going to continue to do that. I don't necessarily believe that I reference this a lot, but I placed, I did 3-1 at LVO in 2020 with the pretty subpar Terminators list before Psychic Awakening. And that's just because I put in the reps for the army and I practiced them a lot and I did really well and I outplayed my opponents. That was during Space Marine Winter when everything was fucked and Iron Hands and Imperial Fists were just running train on everything. But am I disappointed that Terminators aren't more efficient? I don't think so. Because I'm going to keep running them anyway, and I'm just happy that they're still troops. I had a nightmare the other night that they decided our Terminators had to be elites, and I was like, no, that's like our thing. One last blade, I'm going to have to start building my collection from scratch. I'm just going to try and build lore around a new Brotherhood instead of the fourth. Do you have any suggestions? Ooh, that's exciting. I've heard some people they make the fabled ninth Brotherhood, which is like their own personal Brotherhood. You can pretty much go anywhere with that. Grey Knights, unlike most chapters, are not restricted to just having 1,000 brothers in their chapter. They usually have around 1,000 just because numbers wax and wane, and they have a lot of neophytes. But they aren't restricted to that. So if you want, you could just build a whole nother Brotherhood and just have 100 Marines in there, 100 or so, and focus it on whatever you want. We didn't get custom Brotherhood traits, which was a little bit disappointing, but also another expected thing, not something I was really thinking was genuinely going to happen. One last blade. Thanks for the chill stream. Hammer Gang won't let you down. Yeah, thank you for joining. I hope Hammer Gang doesn't let me down. I think they're going to be pretty cool. It's definitely going to scare people when they just see a bunch of boys with hammers deep strike into their back line. That's a lot of damage putting out. Yeah, okay, here you go. That's holding perfectly. Yo, one last blade. It's BS you didn't get a codex to review. I've watched someone who got it, and they have been the crappiest read-throughs. Yeah, I think it's because my channel is so relatively new that I didn't get one. I definitely felt a little salty this morning when I was sent a link to a codex read-through by somebody, and this person had about half the subscribers I have, and then mispronounced prognosticar, and usually there's nothing to be gained in feeling avarice or jealousy towards someone else's gain, but I definitely was I feel like if you can't pronounce prognosticar, you shouldn't keep getting an advance copy of the Grey Knights Codex. Momentary saltiness, which abated very quickly. But yeah, I'm still gonna get it in a couple days. What's a couple extra days? It's nothing big. It'll be very cool. My brother and I, with his 1,000 Sons, we're gonna each get our codices that day, and we are going to definitely film a game that day after storming through our codexes and just making sure codices and making sure that we have everything correctly. James D says, yes, I noticed that as well. Bulk salt here as well, but yes, point on dwelling. Agreed. Salt has never helped anyone, except I guess the Romans as money and cooks for thousands of years. Oh, just heard a text sound. What was that? Ooh, I got some messages from you guys about, thank you for sending me some Grey Knight stats. Kathzard, I appreciate that, giving me the information about the chaplains. Very helpful. All right. Let's see. We're getting there. We're getting some bodies together. Hammer squad. This is the silliest thing. I'm not going to tell any of my friends about this. I'm just gonna make this squad, and then I'm going to, and then I'm just going to see how they react to it when I deep strike them onto the table. See what happens there. Plus, when the hit strat makes the Bonk Brigade pretty scary. Derek, Eli, and Knopfzager, I think you're referring to the new... It's basically the new version of Fury the First. I might have misread it. It might have been in the Goonhammer article or something. But I think that it only applies to shooting. No, it only applies to melee. It no longer applies to shooting. That's what it is. I'm hoping that Tau and Tyranids codices drop together so my brother and I can get them. So the rumors I'm hearing is that Tyranids are next after Orcs. That's what I keep hearing. Don't quote me on that, but that's what people in all of my circles keep saying because of the new Octarius flavor with all of the Tyranids versus Orcs, that they're going to get some sort of battle box or something like that. Why did GK never get lightning claws? Simple reason. There's no lightning claws in the Grey Knights Terminator box, so they don't let us take them. There is one, I forget his name, but if you look it up in, it'll be too much work to find it now, but if you look it up in, on Lexiconum or something like that, There is a Grandmaster who has Nemesis lightning claws in the fluff, and that's the coolest idea in the world, having like glowing demon hunting lightning claws. Eldar need an update. I agree there. I agree there completely. Although, as anybody who watched my Gardenhammer video, all Eldar are trash, my friend Torin says. All the Eldar players in our group, from Drukhari to Harlequins to Craft Worlds, even these days, just consistently dick stomp us. Eldar just, for whatever reason, in our little local meta, Eldar just roundhouse kick everyone. It's always upsetting. I've got to find the right connection point for that. There it is. Perfect. Just fashion your own lightning claws from all the falchions. Good idea, Cody Miller. All the extra falchions that you're not going to be using. All right, you're going to hang out while your hammer dries so that you don't... Man, this Tamiya cement's really, really nice. Okay, let's get some shoulders on those guys. I like to say I've modeled the way I play after you. Never seen any salt in your games. Thank you. It's nothing against people who really, really take competitive 40K seriously. That's a whole separate kettle of fish, and that's what they take joy in, and it's what they use to further their own lives. But it's not for me. It's a little too much. I enjoy competitive 40K, but I don't like thinking of 40K as a competitive thing, if that makes sense. I enjoy trying to win, but I don't enjoy getting upset if I lose. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't enjoy feeling bad if I've lost the game. Also, if anybody just noticed, I was very lazy. I have some of the shoulder pads have like little books or icons hanging off of them, and I didn't want to paint it on this one, so I just snipped it off. Just gonna leave it there, and we're all good. We don't need to do that. Check Discord, my guy. Joshua Martin says, I shall check Discord. Codex leak in resources. Joshua Martin, are you psyching? If you're psyching, then yes, I will. Resources. Yes. Hell yeah. Appreciate that. I will go through that later, and I will probably do that as I'm lying down to bed tonight. I'll go through the whole thing. Caesar Fortune, thank you for hanging out. Getting these on here. Let's make sure that's actually flush there first. So trimming off all that flash. That's a new word I learned today. Flash is what you call the little nubbins and stuff on the armor, or on the pieces after you've clipped them off the sprue. Did not know that. I love the idea of using lightning claws and some paladins and just using them as falchions. I have done that. I have done that very thing. I have if you check my Instagram, I have a squad of paladins with some falchions, or with some lightning claws, and just use them as falchions. Which maybe they'll be viable now because they're free. They don't cost the extra points. So who knows? Maybe I'll actually get to use them. The extra cost of the falchions before just so wasn't worth it. I have a friend who can't handle losing, so I prefer to lose when I play him. I have had those opponents in the past. I hear you there, and it is an unpleasant place to be, especially if you're like playing a 40K game with like a pickup person or something, like somebody you just like met through an online group or met at the club or something like that, and you realize part of the way through the game that you are just not having a good time, and neither of you are having a good time. You have two choices. You can either make it more of a socially uncomfortable situation and say, hey, I'm not having a good time, I want to stop playing this, or you can just have a bad next 5 hours. Neither of them are good options. I like falchions on my strike squads because they look cool. That is a good reason, Boxy the Turtle. That is a very, very good reason. And it's almost the reason I went with this. In fact, I'm going to be 100% honest. If Hammer Squad didn't win out, I was going to do falchions. But we're doing Hammer Squad now, and it's going to be awesome. GK vehicle list soon. Alfredo Racillus says, GK vehicle list. I think we have all the vehicles already known, right? We know what's in there from the Munitorum field manual. I'm pretty sure. We're not getting anything new. The Bunk Brigade. Let you continue to drive for a minute while I assemble my 4th Terminator. Moving right along with these. This stream is sponsored by Hammer Gang. Here's another question I would like to ask you guys. One last blade. Do you have a favorite psychic power, old or from the new book? That is a good question. Okay. Also, my background's a gray night on my phone. That is a good question. I absolutely love Inner Fire. I think it's so cool. I'm sad that we're losing it in this new codex. I get it. It led to some broken shenanigans, but I loved throwing my Apothecary deep into someone's back line, extending the range of Inner Fire with Powerful Adept, and then just obliterating a tank with Mortal Wounds in the Psychic phase. It was such a good feeling and caught people off guard, and it was such a fun little trick in an otherwise really, really difficult codex. One last blade. It was really interesting seeing your video where you spoke about the Conan the Barbarian style image in your head, inspiring you with the Grey Knights. It reminded me of my Word Bearers history. I was on board with that statement until you said it reminded you of Word Bearers, and then I was like, chaos bad. Yeah, thank you. I always have an image in my head when I'm painting guys of them like fighting dragons and massive demons or one-shotting tanks and things like that. I find it helps with painting to imagine my guys doing something cool. It inspires me and wants me to like imagining the adventures and the like heroics they're getting up to in the future makes me really excited to keep painting them. Beefy Bill, didn't know we were losing Inner Fire. I haven't seen anybody talking about it, and I imagine if nobody's talking about it, then we're not gonna get it because it's really good. Let's see. Hammer. I did want to bring this up. That's right. I wanted to ask you guys. So each of my Terminator squads has a name currently, and I kind of have some silly names attached to them because Warhammer Latin. So my squads, I have Squad Archaeus, which is my old metal Terminators that I've painted. They're archaic, so they're Archaeus. I have Squad Ferrum, which is because iron. That's my dudes with swords. I have Squad Fortis, which are my guys with the halberds. That just sounded like defensive, and I imagine like lore-wise, halberds like hold people back. I've got Squad Viserion because it's spilling guts for my squad with the Falchions, and then I've got Squad Tethys for my most recent Terminator squad that you guys haven't seen, who also have halberds. Tethys because it's a moon of Saturn, and if anybody's read The Emperor's Gift, sometimes squads are named after the moons of Saturn. Anyway, my point being, what silly pseudo-Latin name should I give the Bonk Brigade? Boncus Brigadis. well, sometimes you just give the most immediate answer possible. Squad Exterminatus. Ooh, that's straightforward. Smitus, Boncus Brigadis again. I've got 2 for Boncus Brigadis so far, and I'm not gonna name them that. I'm reading The Emperor's Gift right now. It's all your fault. Hey, look, it's Rick from Noobhammer. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Emperor's Gift is phenomenal, and it's a good book, and you will not regret it. Hyperion and his struggles against the Inquisition and with the Space Wolves are a true tragedy. Obliteratus. Ooh, I do like Obliteratus. McDemonhammer. That's a fun. Kirby McLeod. Squad Anthropopa. I'm curious about that. If you have more details with Squad Anthropopa, would love to hear about that. Gravitas means ooh, that's my favorite so far. Gravitas, it means heavy. I'm gonna write that down somewhere. Notes. MC Demon Hammer. Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it, boys. Gravitas. Okay. Anybody saw my note on there? You can't really read that, but that's all of the names that patrons on my Patreon have suggested, and who are for naming some of my units, and those names are in the mail. They're being shipped from London, so it's taken a time for them to get here, but those nameplates are in the mail, and so thank you to whoever is a Patreon of mine, because you're helping me out, and you're going to get to name some of my boys. Malleus is hammer in Latin. Malleus is good, but also Ordo Malleus. I feel like that word's already used too much. Gravitas reminds me of the Halo Gravity Hammer. Perfect. I think Gravitas is winning. That's such a good one. Soul Squadron. That is too epic for them. I love it, but it is too epic. They need to have more battle honors. Squad Tempora, it's hammer time. Thank you. There we go. Glue and bodies. Okay, you need shoulders. That's what you need. Let's get this on there. Gravitas is too close to Gravis. It is pretty close. You're right. Atlantropa is the name for some pipe dream a dude had to drain a huge chunk of the Mediterranean. I just thought it was a cool word. What? I'm going to Google that. Atlantropa, draining the Mediterranean? Gigantic engineering and colonization idea that was devised by the German architect Hermann Sorgel. That's ridiculous. I'm going to read about that later. Where do you get your nameplates? Kieran Jenkins says. I get them from a lovely website called Versatile Terrain, which I will put into the chat right now. Versatile Terrain. It's a lovely website. It's run by one dude. You basically input a thing, it 3D prints the nameplates, and then he sends them to you. I'm actually speaking with him right now because that is a common enough question. On my battle reports and everything about where the nameplates come to him. I'm in conversation with him right now. And we're going to work out some sort of discount deal for anybody who subscribes to my channel or something like that, where you can get discounts on his nameplates. So stay tuned if you want to get your own nameplates at a reduced price. Me and the Versatile Terrain folks are working out a deal. It'll be fun. Rotundus Purorum is Latin for bash boys. Maybe that'll be the name of the Justicar. Okay, we're getting there. You need arms. Where are the arms? There they are. Someone convert Blade Guard Veteran Killer into Latin. You started some Inquisitors inspired by your occasional inclusion. What kits do you use? For my Inquisitor, I think and hope you're referring to Inquisitor Valencia, who is the leader of my little band of Ordo Malleus. She actually was if anybody remembers the little blonde Inquisitor that I have, she actually was a limited time release by Victoria Miniatures for Adepticon 2020. And Adepticon 2020 didn't happen because the gestures at everything. And so actually I emailed the owner of Victoria Miniatures and asked if they still had the little Inquisitor left, and she said yes. And so she sent me one of the Inquisitor, and I painted her up, and I love her so much. The Inquisitor Valencia, I'm going to have her on more games. I just haven't been playing Chaos as much lately, and she's an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor. And she always is an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor. I'll never bring her as anything else. So I haven't been playing Chaos as much lately because my brother's been so busy with his job and moving, and so I haven't been playing Demons or Thousand Suns as much. But yeah. Man, there's a lot on here. Veteran Interfectorum Blade Guard. Ferrum Ruptor means Blade Breaker. Ooh, Ferrum Ruptor. Although that almost sounds like a terrible medical condition to happen to your butt, and I don't know if I like that. RTLW is a great place. Nate Kui, I have ordered a bunch of their minis. I have so many minis that I've painted that I'd never play with. I just ordered them and paint them because I think they look really cool, which I think means you're getting to a really healthy point of the hobby when you're not planning on playing with all of your models. You're just painting them because you enjoy painting them. Ferrum Ruptor, I hardly knew her. Exactly. That's where my brain was going with that. Okay, we've got this going on. He's gonna have a nice angle. On that note, glad they compartmentalized most of GK anti-demon stuff in the new Tide. You know, that's a good point. It means we won't have to have useless rules a lot of the time. One Last Blade, is Caldor Drago only available as the old metal kit? Is there a popular proxy to use? Hard to find the shield. Caldor Drago is only available as the old plastic kit, or the old metal kit, and as a crappy fine cast version. Unfortunately, they've never remade them. I've kit bashed my own. Again, I keep talking about my Instagram, but you can check out my Instagram and I have a recent kit bashed version of Drago that I did that I'm really proud of. I have a cool little hood on him. I used Voldis's body as a base. Kit bashing your own is a good idea. I definitely think that. One Last Blade, how do you feel about not being able to change back to prior Tides? Not a big fan. I can't think of anyone who might have been abusing that and needed that to happen. But the only times I've ever gone back to a previous Tide is when I have been in Tide of Shadows and I've moved to some other Tide and then I regretted it, and so I went back to Tide of Shadows. So honestly, I'm probably going to stick in Tide of Shadows most of the time anyway, or one Tide the whole game. So we'll see. The seventh column. Oh, that's a Halo reference. I love that. Seventh column. A friend of mine gave me a few Grey Knights models. It includes Drago's body, but I had to buy a recast to put it back together. Not my proudest moment, but it happens. We do what we can for this hobby. Okay, hammer. Is he ready for the hammer? It might be too heavy while the glue is drying. No, he's good. Yeah, he knows what's up. I'm sorry for doubting you, Battle Brother. I knew you could hold that hammer. Oh, you ever realize how chunky Terminators are? Chunky boys. Do you have a hand? You do have a hand. Okay. Feel like the Tide restriction is just to prevent any shenanigans with dipping in and out of Tide escalation each turn. I definitely think that's true. Agnes Day. It means bone crushers. I do like that. That's interesting. Chad Bods. Yes, let's go with that. Side note, does anybody ever use this little demon head that comes in the Terminator kit? Having your Terminators hold it? I never do. Because imagine I'm fighting Admech or Tau or something, and then one of my Terminators is holding a demon head. Where did he get that? Did he bring it along to the fight? What's happening there? Fizzle. One Last Blade. I'm trying to build a custom Grandmaster. Do you know a good cape bit I could use from another kit? I feel like Grandmasters need capes. Yes, the Custodian Guard kit. I pulled from that for the Samandis as well. It's an awesome kit just for bits. I've never built any Custodians, but I have the kit just because I like using all the pieces from it. Strongly recommend. One Last Blade. Have you ever created lore around a certain planet or a sector that your characters or army have been in, either individually or in tandem with a friend's army lore? Yes. I have a lot of written out fan fiction, I guess, but it's about my guys of the world Amisa Gloria, way out in the sector segmentum. It is a shrine world, and a lot of events throughout our various campaigns over the years have happened there. It is also the setting of our Crusade campaign that's coming up. But Grandmaster Samandis, my Grandmaster, he particularly lost his Brotherhood champion on that world to a Tyranid invasion, and he feels like he needs to go back and avenge him and serve his memory in some way. So Misa Gloria, the shrine world that has undergone chaos incursions, Tyranid invasions, And now some strange, mysterious happenstance in our new Crusade campaign is a recurring place. And now, as I introduce more narrative elements to the channel, you guys will hopefully be able to see more of that. If you guys care about that. Sometimes people don't give a shit about like personal lore. I do a lot, but you guys seemed to really like that one episode I did where my brother just talked about his Renegades and Heretics force for like 45 minutes. Everybody seemed to love that. Nate, Jason T, good night. Thank you for hanging out. Fiction. What sort of termies are you building? Who asked that? Mongoose 4, hey, how's it going tonight? What sort of termies are you building? I am building a basic Grey Knights Terminators, and I am giving them all Nemesis Demon Hammers because they're going to be, hopefully, tank mulchers. That's the goal here. I'd be into more lore, Mongoose 4 says. Yes, thank you. I hope so. I'm going to put more of it on the channel soon. Well, let's play. I have 1 box of Paladins. I'm going to buy 3 boxes of Terminators. Do you think I'd ever need any more? Well, the Terminator kit and the Paladin kit are the same thing. Ugh. So, Grey Knights Terminator Squad, Paladin Squad. So, you actually have 4 boxes of Terminators. And you can, as you see fit, you can build them however which way you wish. But, I mean, if you ask me if I'm going to need more Terminators, I have 45 painted Terminators, including my characters. And no, I have more than that because I include my Paladins as well. I have at least 50 painted Terminators, and I'm currently building more Terminators. You will always need more Terminators if you want to be a psychopath like me. Never underestimate the amount of lore nerds in this fandom. We are legion. You know what? That's very true. Some of the most like successful YouTube channels for Warhammer 40,000 are lore channels, just people talking about the rad lore in this world. And that's honestly the biggest and most appealing thing of Warhammer to me is that it's so expansive and there's so much lore that you can make up anything for your special little guys, and it slots into the universe perfectly. There's no weird canon restrictions. It's not like Star Wars, where Star Wars is beautiful and expansive, don't get me wrong, but there's clearly like the main storyline that's happening. In Warhammer, there can be thousands of main storylines across the galaxy that never interact with each other. It's glorious. It's such a cool setting for a hobby. Terminator boxes can make many HQ choices and characters, and something like Palpatine said, there are many HQ choices in the Terminator box that some would consider unnatural. Thanks again for the suggestion on the 5th company. Can't wait to run like 3 Apothecaries and 3 Dreadnoughts if possible. Yeah, that's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see that. Make sure you take pictures. One last blade. I want a big Interceptor unit in my army. How goofy is it to give them all hammers so they can just flash in and crush away? So funny you should ask that. In early 8th edition, I had that same thought. I was like, I'm going to buy a lot of Interceptors. I'm going to teleport them across the battlefield, give them all hammers, and just crush everything. The downside was this was before even Shock Assault. And the Interceptors used to only have 1 attack. So there was 0 chance that they would do anything with their 10 Nemesis Demon Hammers, and they would just be wasted points. So instead, I did not do that. But I still have 10 snipped out Strike Squad hammers ready for that project. So maybe I'll do that with my Hexfire kit. Who knows? Make a bunch of Interceptors with hammers. I'll just run the hammer army, I guess, at that point. The Psychopath. There we go. A good subject to talk about would be the quests that are required to be taken to become a Paladin. Ooh, that I actually don't know a ton of the details of that. It's a really, really interesting subject. I love the idea of all the quests that the Grey Knights have to go on just to become Grey Knights. I know they have to slay particular demons, and there's 666 trials. Michael Farley asks what glue I am using. I am using Tamiya's extra thin cement. This stuff is great. It lasts forever. It's super strong. It takes a little bit longer to set than like your typical crappy hobby store paint. But it goes on much, oops, that's gone forever. It goes on much thinner and you use a lot less of it. So it saves a lot of money in the long run. All right. Who needs what? You need a Stormbolter. Where are my Stormbolters? They're in this page. The Emperor's banhammers be like. something that I realized recently was that for a faction that's mainly made up of knights, none of them are actually mounted. That is a fair point. There is no cavalry in the Grey Knights, no dragoons, no nothing. That is fascinating. I've never considered that. Run the Brotherhood where you get +1 to attack and maximize those hammers. But the thing is, I'm probably going to be running the 7th Brotherhood because I've always been the 7th Brotherhood, and I am a stickler for consistency in my lore. Dread Knight is pretty dang close. Sure, the Dread Knight is the most knight of the Grey Knights. Terminator on a horse. Man, if we had bikes of some sort, Terminator bikes, that'd be ridiculous. You know what? I guess Custodies have bikes, so we could have bikes too. King Duval, One Less Blade. How do you feel about 7th Brotherhood rules? I touched on this earlier, but I actually like them for the most part, except for the Warlord trait, which sucks. But you don't have to take that Warlord trait, so that's fine. The Psychic Power is really cool. The Stratagem is like a nice surprise gotcha that I think will hopefully catch some people off guard at the tournament I go to. Ooh, you got some, it looks like Scorp X7 got some secondhand Grey Knights. I know you probably didn't mean this, but I hope you did. You meant you got some like old metal Grey Knights as secondhand Grey Knights. That would be awesome. Will Capronis makes a very good point. Dread Knights. Grey Knight, Dread Knight is double the night. Double the night, double the fall. Man, I'm all Star Wars memes tonight. I don't know why. See, that's King Duval mentions. It'd be cool if the 7th Brotherhood got like an extra Agents of the Imperium slot. I was really hoping it would be something like that. Like you could spend a stratagem to give them like the Ordo Malleus keyword or something so that Inquisitor buffs work on them or something like that. Kieran Jenkins says 2,000 points of secondhand metal Grey Knights. Holy shit. That is tremendous. How did you get those? Have you just held on to them forever? Did somebody give them to you? Where are my hands? I keep losing the hands. Do you have a hand? You don't have a hand. You need a fist right here. Here we go. Giving them the Ordo Malleus keyword would be a really dope narrative campaign role. I agree. That would be awesome. Opinions on Purifiers. Thinking of 10-man squad with 4 side cannons. Maybe combat squatting them into all side cannons one and the melee in the other. I have a 10-man squad of Purifiers with 4 side cannons. They actually do some work. In the previous codex, by doing a Psychic Onslaught and the proper Tide and the Chaplain buff, they almost took down an Eldar super heavy tank in 1 round of shooting. It was very cool. They didn't take it down, and it destroyed them next turn, but they almost did. It was very, very interesting. You 3 look like you're almost done, aside from your heads and purity seals. Just need to make sure. Need to make sure we get stuff for you guys. Not putting any special weapons in this squad, I have decided. And that's okay. I'm not super sold on the special weapons yet. Even with the upgrades, I'm not super into it. Yeah, put I see your question there. Raylefen224. 100% put bones all over your Grey Knights bases. That would be rad as hell. Okay, gonna take this. One Last Blade. King Duval says, how often do you feel super tempted to build a whole new army just based on a really rad concept you get in your head? Well, all the time. I have an army of Seraphon Tau for exactly that reason. I also have a bunch of Exorcists for the same reason, because I thought it'd be cool to paint red and just draw runes all over their armor. I have almost made a Chaos army many times for the same reason, because I have a weird, fun, like lore idea for making a Chaos Space Marines army that believes they are still loyalists. which is silly, but I'm never going to do it. I'm not going to make a chaos army. I am not a chaos guy, but I have that thought in my head. Considering how pricey, I assume hammers are no special weapons. Seems like a smart choice. Their weapons are special weapons enough. It's true. All hammers. The hammers are 10 points now, which is cheaper than they were previous edition, but they did lose a point of AP, so that makes sense. I wish the Terminators had gotten... So here's my silly little niggle about the Grey Knights Codex this time around. You're all going to think this is pointless lore asking, but I was really hoping that psi cannons and silencers would lose the heavy rule. It seems like it'd be powerful, but primarily in the Codex itself, when it's talking about the weapons, it says that all of those psychic weapons, the silencers and the psi cannons, they all have like gravity modules in them, so that they can be carried around rapidly around the battlefield and used without hindering the wielder at all. Like, it specifically says in the lore that they do not hinder the wielder. So having them be heavy and getting -1 when shooting them is silly. It's very silly. It's a dumb thing to be annoyed about, but it's a silly little thing. One last blade. Love your Sheriff on Tau. I love the model of the drone with the frog on top of it. Yeah, and he survived the last game, which was really cool. One last blade. If Interfire is going, what is going to happen to your Kamehameha Apothecary? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. He's still going to be an Apothecary. Still going to have a Demon Hammer, so he'll still hopefully be a melee powerhouse, but I don't know exactly what his role is going to be. It all depends. No. It all depends on how the Codex shakes out. Might throw him in a Land Raider, might throw him in Deep Strike just to support some folks. Who knows? Does anybody else do that, by the way? Like, you have a specific stance that you adopt whenever you drop a model. For me, it's anytime I drop any piece, even if I know it's falling on the table, my whole body just like to catch it before it hits the floor and disappears forever. I have lost so many bits just because they've touched the floor. Okay, we're doing that. And then we're going to put this on here. It's also why they're short range and regular heavy bolters and whatnot. Exactly, because they're moving around. They're like mobile weapons. We shouldn't have the penalty to heavy weapons. Whatever. It's just a thing. How do you get so many hammers? Chris Walters asks. Again, I will show you how I get so many hammers. Oh, man. Like 7 boxes of Terminators is how I get so many hammers. I have spent a lot of money on Terminators, but they're rad and it's worth it. How many shoulder pads do I need? Need more. Okay. Is that going to work? That'll work. Do you think they'd be more lore friendly as assault weapons? One last blade. I do think they'd be more lore friendly as assault weapons. Definitely not rapid fire. I think that would be too much. Have a good night, RealFan224. Rapid fire be too much, pistol be too much, and so I guess it just leaves assault weapons, doesn't it? It'd have to be assault weapons, in fact. One last blade. How do you feel about Grimdark style GK? I actually enjoy the style, but to me it just doesn't fit the lore of GK. It depends on what you mean. If you mean just more muted sort of silvers and stuff like that, I like that. But if you mean the actual like grime, the Necromunda style, like using Typhus Corrosion and things like that, definitely doesn't fit Grey Knights. I feel like it could if you built the lore specifically around it and saying that your Brotherhood has been like on some sort of crusade hunting a specific demon in some backwater worlds for hundreds of years, and so their armor just hasn't been able to be repaired. They haven't been back to Titan for centuries. That would be kind of cool. Man, that'd be fun. Oh, I should paint a squad like that. That'd be rad. They've just been out in the warp forever. Who's this? This is not yours. This belongs to the other guy. You sit down. We're grabbing you. Do you ever magnetize? I'm always too scared to commit. I do not magnetize. And I've talked about this a little bit today, but it's honestly more work than it's worth, I believe. It's a pain in the butt to drill that out and get the magnets to work. And then the weapons always fall off mid-battle, and then you end up having just a big pile of weapons that you don't know what to do with. So you just put them in like a little Tupperware bin or something and leave them next to your models. Moto Journey asks, who is the best Phoenix Lord and what do you love about them the most? I wonder who that is. I wonder which Eldar player I know is that. Oops, put the pauldron in the wrong. Ooh, no, I put the pauldron in the wrong arm. Oh God, can I fix it? Oh, I did it. And it's gone forever, vanished. Who is the best Phoenix Lord? I believe it is Shooty Dark Reaper Boy, because he looks like he has a cool guitar, I think. Or perhaps Dumb Scorpion Head. Dumb Scorpion Head is also a good Phoenix Lord. His name is Karandris. I actually knew that one. How do you transport your army around? Ryan Mihan says. Fortunately, my army is very slight. I have a case by... Oh no, it's downstairs and I don't want to stand up, otherwise I would go tell you. But it's a cool little case. It's about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, and it's got some magnetized levels to it. And so all of my Grey Knights have magnets under their bases, and I just stick them to the levels by themselves, and then stick them to the roofs and stuff, and you can fit a whole 2,000 point army into it. My Dread Knights have like 3 magnets on them, so they don't go anywhere. You're looking good. Let's see. Why magnetize when you can just build more models? Exactly. I like painting Terminators. Brandon Rosh asks, one last blade. I wanted this codex to have built-in Cybolt ammo on our Stormbolter, or as a point upgrade. What's your opinion on Crow now? Those are 2 separate things, and I guess I will address them one at a time. I also wanted Cybolt ammunition to be like a points upgrade. I thought that would be really cool. My opinion on Crow now. I haven't actually seen his data sheet yet. The model's cool, but it does sound like he is using his sword for... He's using the demonic energies of his sword now, which I'm not super thrilled about, but I suppose I'll let it slide. I don't know. I'll read his lore and see if there's any update to that specifically that explains why now he's accessing the power of the demon when before he was containing it within himself and not surrendering to it. We'll find out. Moto Journey says... Guitar Elf plus Scorpion Elf. That's a good point, Moto Journey. I'm surprised those emojis exist. Moto Journey is my buddy Dustin and the aforementioned Eldar player I talked about earlier. Painting my Death Guard while watching this. Terminator Horde soon. Oh my God, Death Guard Terminators are unstoppable. They're terrifying. I just don't know what to do when I face them. Yeah, this is going the right direction. Here we go. As you get older, sometimes leakage becomes a problem, and Crow's got to be getting up there. Perfect. I am curious to see if they've changed Crow's lore at all, or if they just upgraded his sword for no reason. I'm going to do 2 videos. I'm going to do a rules review, and I'm going to do a lore review for the new codex. This Tamiya glue is fantastic. Big fan. I put some Grey Knights in a start collecting box. Broke 3 of them. Oh no! You mean you like put them in, like set them down? Oh no! Yeah, you need some sort of stabilization. You can get those big toolboxes, those big metal toolboxes. Glue a magnet to the bottom of each of your guys, and they won't go anywhere. Blood Angels Terminator Horde checking in. I will admit that after Grey Knights, Blood Angels have the coolest Terminators in the entirety of the Imperium. And yes, I know Dark Angels Terminators exist, but Blood Angels Terminators are cooler. RD says against Death Guard Terminators, I think their Smite and Mortal Wounds and Melee will be pretty strong against them. I agree. I think it's going to be really good against them. I think we're going to do pretty good against Death Guard Terminators now with our various upgrades that we've had. I do think that Grey Knights are better than they were before, objectively. It's just different. We're all going to learn how to adjust to the new codex. Besides GK lore, besides GK coolest lore, go, Monodork asks. The coolest lore. Word bearers. Definitely word bearers. First Heretic is one of the best 40k books, hands down. I absolutely love it. The follow-up is really, really good as well. And it's word bearers, while I'd never play them, they're a thematically and narratively astounding chapter. They're just really, really cool. Oops, and I missed one up there. Somebody tagged me. One less blade. Have they changed any keywords on apothecaries? Do they still receive benefits to brotherhoods? I have no idea, but I can only assume because the brotherhoods, the apothecaries actually reside in brotherhoods. There's an apothecarion on Titan, but they are still assigned to the brotherhoods. Crow's sword is +1 strength, AP3, D2 damage, but 6 to wound, cause D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, that sounds about right. And there again is my dog going nuts. That's just what he does. It's like his thing. He just starts yelling a lot. Paladins have 4 attacks base. Holy shit! And a weapon skill of 2. That's awesome. Why is everybody shitting on paladins? That sounds like they're incredible. Oh man, that's awesome. I did not realize that. I assumed they just had the 3. Sweet. I'm down for paladin bombs again then. If that's the case. You still need Stormbolter and another hand over there. Paladins don't have Brotherhood keywords. That's fine, though, and makes sense because the Paladins don't actually come from any of the Brotherhoods. The Paladins come from specifically the Chamber of Purity? Or is that the Purifiers? That might be the Purifiers. But they have their own specific chamber and their own order that they follow on Titan. They're not part of the Brotherhoods. They attach themselves to the Grandmasters, to their bodyguards, and follow them around battle, but they aren't actually attached to any of the Brotherhoods in particular. Paladins don't get rerolls from Drago. I thought the Paladins do get rerolls from Drago just because he ignores all that shit. I think just Grey Knights within range or something like that. Hall of Champions. Thank you, James Stepanek. That's what it was. I knew it was what that was. And not that, but I knew it was a thing like that. So thank you for coming in with the save and making me not look like a silly lore nerd. There it is, my last Stormbolter. Can Paladins also choose what psychics they cast? Yes, they're one of the only units that can choose the psychic powers they have. One of the non-character units that can choose the psychic powers they have. It's very, very cool. Drago is my favorite demon Primarch. How do we eject someone from the chat? Just kidding. Celestine is my favorite demon prince. This is the last Stormbolter, I think. Yeah. Banhammer. Gravitas. I am falling in love with the name Squad Gravitas for these guys. That seems like the way we want to do it. Nicholas Morris, the GK do not have a Primarch. Accurate. Our gene seed comes from the Emperor himself. Ranko Zaremski says Paladins seem sadly underwhelming compared to other special Terminators and other codices. That's fair. I think it's gonna be hard comparing us to other codices because it's apples to oranges, right? They're all going to interact differently and do different things. And I think we'll all just end up sad if we start saying, we're not as good as Dark Eldar were when their codex came out. Yeah, nobody's going to be that good because Dark Eldar were broken. Arguably still are. You could double down on the fake Latin and go with Gravitarius. It's almost too much of a mouthful. GK pay through the nose for psychic powers all the time. I agree. And now that we can't choose our powers, it's a little bit more of a hit. It's not the worst, but it's a little bit more of a hit. But yeah, being able to deny everything, though, and psychically dominate the battlefield is going to be really important. Although, man, I've read some of the Thousand Suns Codex. Wow, we're going to have a hard time against Thousand Suns. They are powerful psychers. Okay, now we're doing heads. We've got everybody's bodies all built together. Everything's looking beautiful. Just got to get all the heads. Everybody's got to have a helmet because Marines without helmets are dumb, in my opinion. Deathwing Knights. Oh god, are Deathwing Knights cheaper than our regular Terminators? Oh boy. Well, you know what? Our Terminators are troops, and that's like a big thing, right? Joseph Bruce, thanks for hanging out while you were here. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, us having Terminator troops is awesome. Being able to throw it. Oh god, if nothing else, I'm so stoked for our Terminators to have 3 wounds. Being able to throw 3 wounds, 2 up save, 1 up save if we're in Tide of Shadows onto an objective is just astounding. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so hard to shift them. That's a good point. Arcanum, GK Terminators with Hammerhand, very, very rad. Oh, Rick Ramsky is right. Deathwing Terminators are also obsec when people bring them in the right way, and also they always have permanent transhuman. That is one thing I'm disappointed with in the new codex, is that our transhuman physiology equivalent is inexplicably 1 command point more than the normal Space Marines version. I don't know why, but it is. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So as I mentioned earlier, putting the heads on them, got to make sure I get the head with the little, you can't really see it, but this head has a skull on its forehead. That means that he is the sergeant or the Justicar of the squad, so I've got to make sure I put it on the proper Terminator body. Because imagine if I made someone else the Justicar and they didn't have that bit on their face. Then I would look like a right fool. All right, this guy actually looks really sick. Man, hammers were the right call, everybody. More like trash human physiology. Nice, got him. Continuity. Continuity is how you say that word, not continuity. Mm-hmm. Alex does bring up a good point. Strike squads are great. I still don't know that I'm going to run them. Still don't know that I'm going to run them because I just love Terminators. They just look so cool. The hammers are making you happy, so it's definitely the right call. Absolutely solid point. Anything that makes me happy to run these and just play with them and paint them is the right decision. This guy's shooting a Stormbolter, so his head's got to be looking that way. What a badass. His head might be a little too tilted. There we go. Yeah, what a cool guy. This guy's doing kind of a come at me bro sort of pose. There it is. Okay, he's going to be looking straight forward because he is welcoming challengers. Face me, demons. He almost looks like he's tripping. I'll have to pose him so he definitely looks like it. Do you plan on using interceptors and purifiers more frequently with the new Codex one last played? I definitely do, especially since I have some already painted up. Interceptors, I think especially, offer a really, really good tactical choice to our army that not only do we desperately need in a sea of movement 5 units, but also a tactical advantage that a lot of armies don't have. The little redeploy mid-game is awesome. Okay. So I think we got to get the tilt shields on still, the encrounches. I play Sons of Behemoth in AOS because Drunk Giants. I don't play Age of Sigmar. There's a guy who brings his Sons of Behemoth army every week to the little game night that I host down at our FLGS, and those giants just ruin every army he comes across. It's ridiculous. One thing that people sometimes miss each of the little like shoulder shields, the encrunches, are certain shape. It's important to make sure they match up with whatever shape is on the shoulder pad of the Grey Knights as well. So this guy has that sort of. All of these shields have a very specific name when it comes to like European heraldry, and I don't know it enough. I've always thought that's something to be fun to get really like knowledgeable about, like old medieval heraldry. But each of these shapes has a specific name, and I should look that up. At some point, I should. Need those shields. All right. They do sometimes block. Let's see. Which one does he have? He has he has a slightly bent in one. The shields sometimes when I have them looking like this, like he's looking out across his arm that way. So the shield's going to go right in front of his face and just block his line of sight. So I'll try to position it a little further up on the shield just to make sure he doesn't just isn't just staring into his own armor absentmindedly. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and you, Mr. Come At Me, entire world of bros. God, guys, hammers were the right call. These are so awesome. I thank you guys for convincing me of this because I was just going to be boring and do swords. But this is definitely going to be a unique squad. Don't know if they'll be good. Definitely unique. You have the big square. Hammer gang gang. Is SOB Sisters of Battle? No, that's Sons of Behemoth. We're talking about Age of Sigmar. God, these guys are so cool. All right, you need last one, right? We don't have to do any one last blade. Time for another 5 full 10 hammer boys. Oh my God, can you imagine that? Pumping out 31 Nemesis Demon Hammer swings. Get Hammerhand off from there. Oh man, get Hammerhand off. They would mow through like a knight. When did these little shields become a thing? B3NJE909 asks. They've always been in the kits. A lot of people don't put them on their guys just because looks like a kind of superfluous piece, but it's where the heraldry goes. And typically, and you guys might have noticed this, typically they have like an individual's heraldry on them, but a long time ago I made the commitment to just have my like brotherhood's heraldry in each of them. So a little bit less personal identification and more just like brotherhood identity with that. King Duval says, one last play. Did you have any opinions on the Stormcast Eternals? They seem like they'd be up your aesthetic alley. I also think they'd be up my aesthetic alley. I unfortunately have no interest in playing Age of Sigmar, however. The game just isn't for me. I've done 1 or 2 games in the past, and I know the 3rd edition just came out, so it's different. But it is just unfortunately not like my favorite. I just don't like how it plays, honestly. And the setting is not exciting to me. Not to say it's bad, because a lot of people really does it for them, but it just doesn't do it for me. It feels like kind of van art fantasy, where I'm much more of a fan of like Conan or Lord of the Rings, like kind of low magic fantasy, as opposed to the like high epic fantasy that the Stormcast Eternals especially represent. It's not so much my jam. But I'm sure that if I did play AOS, I'd probably pick up Stormcast because they're just fantasy space marines. Put some purity seals on these guys. Make them look pure and holy. Your paladins are the only guys who can get the armored resilience sanctic power. They do have a place ammo. That's a really good point. That would make them super durable. You get armored resilience plus Tide of Shadows. They're 0 up save pretty much. Did you ever do a video on you made your custom chapter master? I've never had the bravery to kit bash my models. It would be great to see how you put together that absolute Chad. Yeah, I get a lot of requests for that, actually. It's on my docket. I have a little list on my phone of the videos I intend on making. And yes, that video in particular is on there because a lot of people love how Samandus looks and want to know how I made him, which is super flattering. And I like that people care about him. He looks really cool and he makes me happy. do what I do with Stormcast. Run Seraphon and have Stormcast Grey Knight kit bash his allies. Love it. Here we go. Get some more on here. I'm going to put just into the corner of his thing there. Okay. Somebody earlier was saying that Purity Seals get a little noisy. I think they do, but I think it looks good on Grey Knights. I think all of that personal sort of like extravagance on them is a big benefit, because keeping their armor holy and pure and sanctified by the Emperor is just as important as slaying the demon. Gotta look good. Well, that's played. I personally love fantasy setting over sci-fi setting, but the 40k depth and breadth of lore is incredible, and the game is much more grounded and serious as a result. I agree. And I was a big fan of Warhammer Fantasy before the End Times event. So, and I hear they're coming back with Warhammer Fantasy, so that'll be a whole thing. All right, next step. Cork. These are old boys, so they're a little shorter. Here is a Primaris captain that I'm in the middle of painting for the guy who won my contest a couple months back. But Terminators, kind of short compared to them. I don't know if you can see that pretty clearly, but kind of short. So to compensate for that, cork and super glue on the bases to give them a little bit of extra, the illusion of being taller. So we're going to do that. And these are hammer boys, so I'm going to put 2 layers because they need to look even more imposing. One last blade. I also love your custom brother captain and plan to do one myself with the halberd of Caliban. It works. Yes, it looks great. And since the soul glaive is still around, which makes me happy, I can keep using that as a rad relic. I was worried that the soul glaive would vanish and then I wouldn't be able to utilize the custom halberd that I'd made for brother captain Ikoziel. Also, do I hear right that brother captains are going to reroll 1's aura like lieutenants? Oh, damn, this isn't working. Oh, man. Do I have another super glue? I do. This one's fucked. Get out of here. Okay, so the Brotherhood captain is getting the reroll 1s, which is good. It's not bad. I will miss the elongated smites, though. I guess we have 18-inch smites now, so that's not a bad thing. Maybe we don't need it. Okay. Glue. And then we're going to get, oops. Oh, God, super glue just goes everywhere. And use bolter drill. Bolter drill. The old Imperial Fists stratagem? Is that what you're talking about? John Colvin, I'm not sure what you mean by use bolter drill, and I would love some edification. Oh, use bolter drill on the cloud glue. Smart. Look at you. Ahaha, the bolter drill. I thought you were talking about the Imperial Fists like ability, bolter drill, and I was like, what is he talking about? Okay, that makes more sense. Well, I already tossed it off into the darkness of my office, so I'll get it later. Okay, then we glue this guy on here. Mr. Come At Me, bro. Man, guys, Terminators are so cool. I know that they kind of aren't coming out the best in this codex, but God, Terminators are so cool. Look at this guy. I'm going to put like skulls in his base and just make him look like a huge badass taking on the world. All right, you need to lean up against this though while you're drawing. Otherwise, you're gonna fall backwards, and I'm gonna be sad. Okay, next guy needs some cork. I still have nightmares from the times I've accidentally poured super glue on the crotch of my pants while modeling. I have one friend who his super glue bottle was clogged once, and so he bit into it to try to like get the cap off, and the whole thing sprayed inside his mouth. He had to go to the hospital. Almost played. Least favorite Chaos God, lore-wise and or in-game. Ooh, least favorite Chaos God. That's tricky. I'm going to say Nurgle. And here's the reason. It sounds silly. It is hardest for me to argue for the evil of Nurgle. Now, hear me out. Everybody says, like, it's obvious, like, Khorne is like, maim and slaughter, and Tzeentch is like, lies and deception, and Slaanesh is like, excess and human corruption. Nurgle, legitimately, his followers live forever free of pain. Like, he gives them what he promises. Like, it's like a good thing to be Nurgle's, like, champion. So it's hard to argue against that, you know? So I guess Nurgle would be my least favorite because it's the one I have the most trouble smiting irrefutably. Travis asks, what do you do to differentiate your Terminators and your Paladins? A couple different things. So the most obvious one is the helmets. The small little like turtle pug helmet is the Terminators. These guys right here with a little like the kind of choppier ones. You can't really see up. It almost focused. There we go. The Paladins, on the other hand, have the larger sort of like swooped beak kind of helmets. You can kind of see if it decides to ever focus there. The Paladins also have the books on the backs, whereas the Terminators don't. And the Paladins also, and this is a subtle one, the Terminator tilt shields don't have any sort of like gold lining to them. They're not the ones with the raised edges, whereas the Paladin shields have the raised edges. That's how I distinguish them. And then I throw a lot more purity seals into my Paladins. One less played. All Nurgle is the only necessary evil. Everything new comes from death and decay. Without Nurgle, nothing beautiful would ever come to the universe to be enjoyed. Yes, but without forces to counteract Nurgle, like Tzeentch or normal growth, Nurgle's ideal state is like a formless, cellular, primeval soup across the galaxy, which is the most like stagnant form, which is what Nurgle's really going for. Khorne is my favorite Chaos God because it's straightforward. There's no duplicity. There's no deception. There's no questions. Khorne Demon or Khorne Champion shows up. You know exactly how he's going to fight you. You know exactly how to deal with him. There's no trickiness. Just like, that guy's going to come at me with a sword and try to stab me. All right. I know how to deal with that. Okay. Are you looking good, my bro? Let's put a little more glue there. Okay, you're doing good. Next. Without Khorne, there would be no honor. Without Tzeentch, there's no hope. Without Slaanesh, there's no passion. I hear what you're saying, Kane Duval, but you've got it backwards. Without any honor, there'd be no Khorne. Without any hope, there'd be no Tzeentch. Without any Slaanesh, there'd be no passion. It's those emotions, those human, like, sentient ideals that create the Chaos Gods, not the other way around. My brother once asked, because he's an ardent Chaos player, and emotionally he's also just invested in hating the Imperium. And so he once asked me, what's the Grey Knight's ultimate goal? And I was like, to rid the universe of the threat of demons. And he was like, no. What is your plan? What is your ultimate goal? And I said, to destroy chaos? And he said, cool. What does that involve? And I was like, And he was like, where does chaos come from? And I was like, people. And he's like, so is your goal to kill every person so we stop thinking and stop having emotions? And I was like, die, heretic, and had a hard time refuting that one. Let's see. Without Khorne, there'd be, where are we at? The irony is that Khorne is supposed to be poor in the meta. Yeah, it's too bad. I've never actually... So here's a fun fact. I've faced all flavors of demons. I have never played against Khorne in any form. I've never played against Khorne demons. I've never played against World Eaters. I've never played against any sort of Khorne anything. It'd be cool to someday. I'd love to fight Berserkers, especially after they get their inevitable buffs in their codex. I bet they'll be really fun to play against. But I'd love to face Khorne demons at some point. is where I'm coming from with that. Let's ignore that whole Armageddon thing, he says. Oh, are we talking about the months of shame? Because it's a dark road to go down, and I don't know if I'm drunk enough to talk about it. Ending chaos was kind of what the whole Webway project was about. The Webway project was about ending our reliance on warp travel and thus limiting our interaction with chaos, and thus maybe eventually through logic and willpower, bleeding the chaos gods to death, starving them to death. It's depressing that bloodthirsters have never, ever been good. Even with their exalted demon traits, that sucks. Greetings from Germany, says Marco Schmidt. Well, hello, Marco Schmidt. I bet it's really early for you there, I suppose. It might be late, who knows. I wonder if corn demons are the least popular. If there's a correlation between that and you never playing them. Correlation, not coloration. It was like coloration's red. Probably is. I just, for whatever reason, we all have our local metas, which is why it's important to stay away from all the armchair theorizing. But it's we all have our local metas, and my meta just doesn't really have any corn players. I know there's a few demon players out there, but I can just never arrange games with them. God, I'd love to face like Red Butcher's Terminators. I think that'd be so much fun. Hey man, there's this thing called Elethra. It stops you from birthing chaos gods. Have some experience with that. You should check it out. Hey man, Eldar, you guys are like the least helpful when it comes to how to birth chaos gods. We might have birthed the other three, but at the very least, we didn't fuck our entire species into near extinction. All Eldar are trash. All right, then we got one guy left. Is this wide enough for you, my brother? Yeah, buddy. Okay. There's that. Super gluing that on there. Ours is a process. The Eldar just blinked it out. Yeah, right? There's some specific events, I think, in history that you can point to where the Chaos Gods started to manifest more properly. The battle of, I forget what it is, but it's a medieval battle where that one general said, what did he say? The kill them all, let God sort them out. That medieval battle, that is the moment that Khorne finally coalesced, from what I understand. That was when he really came into manifestation. King Duval says there's some 50k fan ideas around with the Emperor becoming a chaos god of order and control. What are your thoughts on that? One last play. Whoa, my mind has never fled so far into the future as 50k. I can't even fathom that. That'd be an awesome setting to do someday, though, if they ever jump down that line. All right, I think these dudes are pretty good. We have ourselves a 5-man squad of Terminators with Nemesis Demon Hammers. Oh boy, what a collection of silliness. Man, let's see if I can get a closer look at some of these so you guys can check out how rad they look. Whoop. Now you're down here with me. Here we are. Here is the, where is he? There's 15 more Hammer Boys to go, King Duval says. Here is the Justicar. Focus machine. There we go. Whoop, whoop. Here's the Justicar. He's looking excited. Here is some of the guys. This dude's pose is fun. I don't know why, but he looks very confident. Oh, come on. Camera. It's trying to focus on. There we go. Nope. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work at all. Well, the only one I really want you to see is this guy with his come at me, bro pose. Come on, you can do it. Nope, it's not working. All right. Well, that's about that I got for that. This is perfect timing, too. I was hoping to be finished by 9 so I can get on some video games with my brother. Let's quickly turn you guys up here and I can casually look at my own face. Haha, hey, everyone. Yeah, I think it's about that. Bosh. Fixing the light there. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. That was a fun time. It's about 100 of you most of the time throughout that, which is crazy to think that you guys would just want to hang out and talk about Warhammer with me. It was very fun. Yeah, I'm hoping to get more like proficient with this kind of thing. As I mentioned way earlier, I downloaded Streamlabs, so maybe I'll get some music, multiple cameras, looking at different things. Yeah, it was super fun. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'll have another battle report up this next week with Thousand Suns versus Grey Knights. It's going to be a good time. Adios, everyone.